Following an adventure to the sun to save some scientists, Superman's body gets contaminated and he has a countdown to death. He decides to end his final moment giving a worthwhile gift to Earth. What did he do? Hello, Anytime here. Today, I will show you the recap of a 2011 anime titled All-Star Superman. Spoiler alert. Watch out and take care. Some scientists led by Dr. Quintum go on a journey to get fire from the sun. The journey, along with a robot that should help them out with the mission. The robot, however, keeps saying suspicious words on the way as Quintum and the other scientists try to find their way to the sky. On Daily Planet, Lois writes an article that Superman will save scientists from dying. Her editor, Perry White, asks her how she could know such information, and she tells Perry that she finds out what Superman will do even before Superman does it. She asks Jimmy for the size of the sun as she concludes her article. Perry and the other journalists try to suggest a good title for the article, so they will show the world Lex Luthor's betrayal. And as they finish, they ask to speak with Luthor. In Luthor's room, he's seen saying irrational statements and making some actions. The officer assigned to him comes to tell him that the journalists from Daily Planet are seeking him, but he refuses to answer for a while. After finishing his acts, he tells the officer that he's sending words to the sun as he plans to destroy the plane with Quintum in the air. The robot in Quintum's rocket starts malfunctioning. The robot confesses to killing his brother, and Quintum insists that won't be possible because he was the one who created the robot and configured it. But the robot replies that he has been reconfigured by Lex, who has made him a lethal bomb, and he will destroy the plane. At that point, Superman enters. He tells the robot that he can't destroy the plane, and he drags him into an outer part of the plane. He tells Quintum to hatch the outer part, which pushes the two of them into the sky, where Superman throws the robot into the fire. The rocket is now malfunctioning, with no hope of getting them to safety, so Superman uses his protection glove to carry the rocket and bring them to safety. After that operation, he does some experiments with Quintum, who tells him that since his sun exposure, he has become stronger than usual. His cells is extending out of his flesh, and he acknowledges that he can feel it too. Quintum tells him he has bad news and tells Superman that he just has a year to live and will soon die. He apologizes to Superman and tells Superman that if he hadn't traveled to the sun and if Superman hadn't struggled to save them, he wouldn't be exposed to too much radiation that's killing him. But Superman tells Quintum that it isn't his fault. He asks Quintum for a favor, which is that he shouldn't tell anyone of his condition yet. At Daily Planet, Perry expects Clark at work, but Clark is resuming late. He says he will count fives, and if Clark doesn't resume before then, he will reluctantly sack Clark. On the other hand, Superman struggles to save a young boy from dying before he hurriedly wears his suit and enters Daily Planet. Due to his rushing, he falls on his way. He eventually gets to work before Perry's countdown. The police come to arrest Lex, who actually gives in to the officers with a smile on his face. After work, Clark and Lois walk home. On their way, Clark bumps into an older man on the way, and he apologizes for his clumsiness. But the man calls out for Lois and tells her boyfriend is stupid. Superman follows Lois home, and by her door, he tells her he wants to tell her something and removes the buttons of his suit to reveal his Superman outfit. The goods on her hands fall down. She's shocked at what she has seen, and she refuses to believe him. He carries her and her car into the sky as they fly into his fortress so she will believe him more. They get to his fortress and he opens the door with his master key. She asks him if he thinks his key is safe and can't get misplaced, and he throws the key on the floor and asks her to pick it up. The key is too heavy for her, and he tells her he's the only one who can counter the weight of the key. He takes her into the fortress and shows her a secret room that contains some of the weapons he has taken over time. One of them is the kryptonite, which he knows could kill him. He takes her to a Sun Eater, which he took during his journey to the sun, and shows her how he's feeding the Sun Eater with a man-made sun that he makes in his fortress. As he feeds the Sun Eater, Lois sees a laboratory, and the sight of what they are doing there influences her to go there. She goes there and looks at what they are doing, thereby exposing herself to an airborne chemical. He calls out for her and tells her she's allowed to enter any of the rooms in the fortress except that one. They sit to eat, and during the dinner, she asks him how it was possible for himself and Clark to stand together on two different occasions, but he assures her that one of them wasn't him. He tells her he has been lying to her, and now he's telling her the truth, but she refuses to hear him and walks away. She gets paranoid and she thinks about the fact that he has been lying to her all the while. She concludes that he brought her so she will be the mother of his superheroes, who will be liars. Then she decides to attack him. She goes for the kryptonite laser and she attacks a robot on her way before attacking him. However, due to his new powers, the laser doesn't affect him. He hugs her and takes her to a room where he tells her the birthday gifts he has for her is a liquid form of his DNA, which will grant her superpowers for a day. She drinks it and she starts flying. On Earth, the court tries Lex for his actions, and he's found guilty of all counts of offenses against humans, while Superman and Lois, who has taken the form of a superwoman, fly around for their adventure. They hear a notification that reptiles have attacked the city. Superman and Superwoman go there immediately, but they find out that two time travelers, Samson and Atlas, have attacked the reptiles. As they talk, Samson and Atlas flirt with Lois, and they decide that they should do a competition with Superman, and anyone who wins will take Lois. Superman asks them to return the reptiles to the center of the Earth, which is their home. They take the reptiles there, and while there, Lois keeps flirting with the boys. Superman, her attention to her behavior, and she tells him he should do the competition with the boys so she will have a more beautiful birthday. He fights with them, giving Lois a great birthday, and they end the day with a kiss before he lays her down, and her powers disappear in the middle of the night. The following day, he returns to work as Clark and goes to interview Luthor. Luthor talks to him about how inhumanly Superman is, and during their conversation, there's an outbreak from one of the criminals at the prison. He tries to cover his identity as Superman as he helps some of the humans. In the long run, Luthor wounds the threat. Luthor tells Clark that he likes him, as Clark is humble and human, and he is direct opposite of what Superman is. He tells Clark that he doesn't inspire to break out of the prison because he has done all he wishes and can live well knowing he was the end of Superman. Superman returns home and tells Lois that he wants to fulfill his last mission on Earth before dying. So he leaves for a while to get them done. As he returns to work as Clark, Lois shows him news of some kryptonite couple in the world. He approaches Bar-El and Lilo, who refuse to give him listening ears, and she also finds out they have taken over his fortress. He returns to work as Clark, and as he works, Bar-El and Lilo come to his workplace and are about to spoil his disguise. However, they get weak. He goes to tell them and tells them that their body has been damaged by the route they passed to Earth. And Lilo also notices that she's getting blind. He takes them home and treats them. Bar-El asks him why he's kind enough to treat them even after what they have done to him, but he says his human parents taught him forgiveness. They admit that he's a good representative for Krypton on Earth, and then he sends them to the Phantom Zone. On Luthor's execution day, he drinks Superman 24-hour serum, using it to gain superpowers, which he uses to escape. Then he goes to Solaris, who helps him contaminate the sun so the sun can become red and destroy Superman. Superman fights with Solaris and defeats him. Then he goes to Daily Planet to submit his last article, which pronounces the death of Superman. He collapses at work, and Luthor comes there. Luthor shows his new powers and declares he's presently the most powerful man on Earth. While Lois tries to convince him not to use the powers for evil, Superman wakes up and fires a gravity gun at Luthor. He flies along with Luthor, who eventually defeats him and drags his body to the people. Luthor says anyone who attacks him will die, and he's going to the White House the next day to take over the government. However, his serum stops working. Superman stands up and tells him the gravity gun has sped up the serum's working period, and Superman destroys the last dose of serum that Luthor has. As his powers fade away, Luthor sees Superman's vision of Earth and knows he can't meet up. Superman knocks him down. Superman shares his final moment with Lois and tells her he's the only one who can repair the sun. He flies to the sun and becomes radio-solar conscious of repairing the sun. A year later, Lois keeps waiting for Superman to return after repairing the sun. Later, Luthor asks to see Quintum. He gives Quintum a formula that can create another Superman, and all that's needed is a womb. He does this as an apology for his acts. On the other hand, Superman remains in the sun as machinery to keep it alive. Thanks for watching the recap. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post the next recap.